This is a Kirkendall Barrett presentation, darling.
Dad is dead. There is a dog.
You bought strawberries. Who do you think you are?
You buy homemade bread?
What are you, QAnon?
What makes him happy?
Not being in this movie?
Not being in this movie.
A lifetime of Hallmark.
Well, hello, everybody. It is your favorite day of the week. It is time for another episode of A Lifetime of Hallmark, where we talk about movies on both Lifetime and the Hallmark Channel and try to make sense of them. I am Les Kirkendall Barrett. Hello, Jason Bowers.
Hello, Les Kirkendall Barrett.
And hello, Kirk Fitzpatrick.
Hello, Les Kirkendall Barrett, and hello, Jason Bowers.
Happy Halloween, everybody. I cannot believe that we are almost at Halloween.
I'm excited. I love Halloween.
I do too. There are a lot of Halloween parties this year too.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone, even though stuff was largely opened up last year, I think everyone is still in the mindset of, oh, we've been closed down for 2 years.
Right. So I'm excited. Kurt, are you doing anything for Halloween?
I don't think so, but we'll see.
If you want to come to California, I'm having a party. It is not an Addams Family Monsters party, as some have said, Les.
Well, that's what I was told.
Well, they lied. They lied.
That's what I was told. Where was I? I was in Nova Scotia when I got that news.
What's funny is some friends in our friend circle that weren't involved in all that nonsense that we talked about on last week's podcast, they have 2 kids. It's a gay couple and they have 2 kids. And they're actually dressing as the Addams Family, totally independent.
Oh, how funny.
Of all that nonsense. And then we told them all about it. They're like, oh, that's hilarious.
So see, it's in the air. It's in the air. But yeah, I can't. So, and you know what that means? It's almost our busy season.
It should have been our busy. Movie. We should have been doing the most murderous Lifetime movies all month long. And I think this week's movie was chosen in anticipation of doing that. And there wasn't one murder in this movie.
I know. I apologize.
No.
I apologize.
This was kind of.
You gotta admit, on paper, this movie sounded really good.
You did well when you said that the movie is a Let's Get Physical from Lifetime, and you said that it involves a fitness instructor who's a madam. I was like, okay, that sounds like it could be fun.
She wasn't a madam.
She was just a prostitute.
I mean, she's her own madam. She's self-madaming.
Yeah, she was a self-made prostitute, but the title of the movie wasn't even good. Let's Get Physical. It sounds like it's going to be this fun, frothy.
I will say, for a movie that on paper is all about sex, there was very little sexuality in this movie. Yes, there was talk about sex, and you would hear people doing it, but it was always done for comedic effect. But we've seen way hornier Lifetime movies than this.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I thought it was kind of a brave movie, though.
This movie kind of made me angry, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, because it was bullshit. Those people were bullshit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there were lots of things to be angry about in the sort of the politics of what happened in this based on a true story. But the movie could have made it a little bit smuttier.
Right.
I guess so. I felt it took a serious tone in a way.
The problem was it couldn't decide if it was taking a serious tone or a comedic tone, and it kept waffling between the two.
Right.
There were so many beats in this movie that were played for outright comedy.
That's the direction that they probably should have gone into. They could have done some kind of campy stuff. It's a Lifetime movie.
Okay, so back in the 70s, did you guys ever see that movie, The Harper Valley PTA?
I know of it.
That was based on the song, and the movie was with Barbara Eden.
Yeah, it was a TV movie, right? Yeah. And they turned it into a series.
Yeah.
I remember the show. Yeah, there was a TV series. I don't think it ran for very long.
The day my mama stopped at 2, the Harper Valley PTA.
I think George Goebbels was in that show.
Probably.
Are you looking up George Goebbels, Jason?
I know
when
that.
we see Jason.
Now
there's a wide screen, and I see him like he's putting his hands down, looking for George.
Well, no, I wasn't looking for George Goebbels. I was just putting it in my show notes. I've heard the name. Who is George Goebbels?
He was on everything in the 70s.
Yeah, I don't think he's around anymore. If he is, he's got to be 120.
20 at least.
Like, what would I know him for?
I have no idea. I just remember the name George Goebbels.
Well,
he
now
was like
I am
an old
looking.
dude.
Okay,
He'd be on a show. Lion King?
What?
Did you say Lion King?
No, I said now I'm looking him up.
Oh yeah, let's look him up.
All right. Yeah, no, because I wasn't looking him up earlier. I just
Everybody at home, look up George Goebbels. Let's break the internet. George Goebbels, because there's no S at the end.
George
Goebbels. He's dead. He died in 1991.
Wow.
Yeah. There's pictures of him as a young man, but I remember him as an older dude.
He was on Laugh-In. I remember him from Laugh-In. Yes, people, I'm old enough to remember Laugh-In.
Oh, Hollywood Squares. So he was on probably like the very first version. He had to have been the first version.
Oh,
no. Yeah, that must be what he was on. Yeah.
Well, what was that you cut out there? What was he on?
Oh, I said yes. He was on the first version of Hollywood Squares.
Oh, okay.
With Paul Lind at the center square. Hello.
Oh, he had his own variety show, the George Goebbels Show, for 5 years. Oh, actually longer. It went from NBC to CBS. Okay.
Oh, he jumped networks.
Wow.
Well, there you go. So you learn things on this podcast.
He was an F Troop, all kinds of stuff. Oh, I mean, back in the day, if we were doing this podcast in like 1978, man, we would be very topical because everybody would know who George Goebbels is.
And Soupy Sales.
We'd be on the cutting edge.
If we went back 45 years in time, we'd be very topical.
We would be. And we'd be the very first podcast ever. That'd be fantastic.
Right?
Well, people would be like, what are you guys doing? How do you hear this? Oh, it's an invention called a smartphone.
Yeah, it'll catch on.
What?
I regret that we didn't do this podcast back in 1978 because we look at all the missed opportunities.
And then you'd have like the blonde ingenue go, how can phones be smart?
Oh, okay.
Mr. Fitzpatrick? Like you'd have like the wacky secretary.
Yeah.
Named like Marge or Susie or something.
Yeah, what's going on?
Mr. Fitzpatrick!
There's
I hold all your calls?
Another thing I noticed, there's a book out. It's an autobiography written by Matthew Perry, and apparently it's just one if I may use the F word, one fucked up thing after another that he did. And so every day in the news, they pluck out one of these things and they make it like a little headline.
He did so many drugs, his colon blew up.
Yeah, he one of the quotes that came out was he said that he, I think it might have been from the Diane Sawyer interview. He had spent so much on rehab over the years. He spent something like $2 million on rehab.
I believe it. I'm like, how do you blow up your colon?
Oh,
right?
A lot of great nuts.
Yeah, you don't look too good.
Well, I mean, that body's been through a lot.
Yikes. He wasn't ready for that kind of life. He
Seriously.
punched a hole in the wall when he found out Chris Farley died. He was insulting. He shades Keanu Reeves in the book.
I saw that.
Then there was another one. I'm the fool that's clicking on all this stuff. It's like a master class on Matthew Perry.
No, that book sounds good.
He broke up with Julia Roberts.
I forgot they were a couple.
Yeah, I remember that. He dated her, and he dated Lauren Graham.
Oh wow!
From Gilmore Girls.
I wouldn't break up with these people.
Well, speaking of dating, does anybody have any Black China news?
That's not possible.
Oh.
Yes, it is.
That was the park ranger.
That's not possible. This trail's been closed for 8 years. It's extremely dangerous.
Doing a piece of China.
China.
I'm talking China.
The Black China Report. Here's Kurt Fitzpatrick.
That's not possible. This trail's been closed for 8 years. It's extremely dangerous.
Black China has been linked to George Goebel. This is in Yahoo Life. The headline is Black China claps back at accusations of kidnapping and sex trafficking.
Wait, what? Okay, I need to hear this.
Okay, here's the article. What is going on in the world of TikTok? On Monday, model and reality TV star Blac Chyna shot down all the claims that she attempted to kidnap and sex traffic Ava Louise, a popular TikToker who made the accusations on her popular social media account. In a video posted on TikTok on October 20th, Louise alleged that Chyna held her hostage and said, "I'm pretty sure she was trying to sex traffic me." She further claimed that she was forced to sign an NDA when she arrived at Chyna's home and was held hostage at her home for up to 6 hours. Clearly, these are serious accusations, but Blac Chyna's attorney is shooting down all the accusations on behalf of her celebrity client. J.D. Sanchez, Chyna's attorney, has sent Louise a cease and desist letter that read, according to TMZ, that everything Louise is alleging is false, extreme, and outrageous. The letter further demands that Louise must stop with the allegations or Chyna and her attorneys will continue to go forward with legal action. According to TMZ, Chyna's attorneys are also attacking Louise's credibility, claiming that she often made outrageous statements on her social media platforms to increase her visibility, saying she had previously made false accusations that she slept with Kanye West. This isn't the first time Blac Chyna has taken legal action this year alone. This is news we know. In April, she sued the Kardashian family for defamation, claiming the family ruined her television career. She eventually lost the $100 million defamation lawsuit against the family when it was found that the popular family did not unjustly harm Chyna's career and could not find enough evidence to point to them interfering with her contract with E! The jury also found no evidence supporting Chyna's claim that they lied about her allegedly abusing Rob Kardashian or spread word of the abuse with reckless disregard for the truth. As a result, she was awarded no damages.
Yeah, Chyna will sue your ass.
Who is this Louise person that said that Blac Chyna?
Louise.
She's this woman on TikTok. She's really hot. I looked at her. There's like a little photo montage of her on here. She's in some sort of bikini on a bed taking pictures. I guess she has a giant mirror on her ceiling.
But what's her? She's just famous on TikTok, or is she a rapper? I don't know who she is.
Well, I guess TikTok. On TikTok. I guess that's what you know.
Okay.
Go
ahead, Les.
No, I was just gonna say, I just read TikTok star Ava Louise claims that she reported Blac Chyna to the FBI.
The question mark for me on this story is, I think I was being sex trafficked. How is there gray area with that?
Okay. Ava Louise's credibility has just flown out of the window.
Why? Did she ever have credibility?
Who is Ava Louise? She is the influencer who found fame by licking a toilet seat. Come on, you believe her?
That's right. I've heard of this woman.
I remember her. Okay.
Yeah. Now, Les, how many years of acting lessons and training have you had over the years?
I started taking classes at 14, and I'm 56.
Okay. And how long does it take to lick a toilet seat?
I guess 2 minutes. I've never licked one.
2 minutes?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, do you lick it fast? Do you lick it slow?
Well, I mean, I think that's
something you learn in acting
up to the person. But I think the moment the tongue touches the toilet, the toilet's been licked. Wise advice, kids.
Honestly, that's my mind.
Those trying to get in the business right now, take that advice.
I want to audition for the Actors Studio in New York. I want to audition specifically for Ellen Burstyn. I want to go through 2 rounds. I would be allowed into one of the classes, and I'll raise my hand and say, "How long should I lick a toilet bowl seat?"
Right.
And then I'll get back to you. But no, I've actually heard of this woman. Yeah, I heard that she licked. I heard of someone who licked a toilet bowl seat.
Well, because it's a big story early in COVID that she was doing it when we were all masked up and not supposed to touch services and stuff. So it wasn't even like she's just nuts. She was like trying to make noise.
Yeah,
I think we talked about this before at one point.
Probably.
Yeah. Probably.
I'm going to go lick the toilet bowl right now if it means I'm going to get work out of it. I could use a job.
I don't need a job that bad. I'm good.
Speaking of careers and entertainment, Jason, are you allowed to share with us what you did?
I can. Yeah, I can finally talk about it. So I think I've talked about this part on the show, that back in the 90s when I first moved to LA, I used to be a background actor on the show Boy Meets World. I was on the show fairly regularly during season 3. And cut to, I live in West Hollywood, California, and you may have heard in the news that running for city council in West Hollywood, California is Ben Savage, who plays Corey on Boy Meets World, the main character. The show was built around him. So I have not seen Ben Savage since the late 90s, mid-90s when I was on that show. But in the past month and a half, probably 2 months, I've run into Ben Savage 10 times. Yeah. 10 times in the past month because he's like out campaigning and he's just like out and about. So I've like had full on conversations with him. Cut to, there is a very popular podcast called Pod Meets World, hosted by Daniel Fishel, Ryder Strong, and Will Friedle, who were all on the show. This is a top 15 podcast. It's like one of the biggest podcasts in the US. And
I subscribe.
I got to be on it talking about my experience on the show. So it's out now. Let's see. It came out last Wednesday. And I was on with him for like 15 minutes. It was pretty big.
It was a good interview, Jason.
Yeah.
It really was.
You're good on it.
Thank you.
When you told us, I was like, oh, I subscribe. I already have it in my queue.
Let me see if I can find the number of the episode. It was... it came out on October 19th, the episode. It's like a bonus episode, so it's called TGI, the BMW DNA, because the episode was sponsored by 23andMe.
I'll bet we have some new listeners as a result of that.
I hope so. I got to plug our podcast. I got to plug my job.
Well, one of the hosts said he was going to listen to it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, Will said he would. Yeah.
So
do we want to recommend... Do we want to recommend some episodes? If there's any new listeners, any episodes of our show?
I always send people to Killer Contractor because that is such a bonkers movie, and we had so much fun talking about it. What was there was a movie.
Our last episode was a good time.
That was a good episode.
That was fun.
The episode before this. What was that movie called? Taking a Shot at Love. The one with Luke.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, or just, start at this episode and see if you like it. Hi. Welcome.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Well, I don't know. I don't know. This movie, Let's Get Physical. Did you think it was dumb? I think it has some interesting social commentary to it.
It did.
It was
because dumb. I don't think that a lot of times in the United States, there's like a fear of sexuality.
For sure.
Kind of almost like, yeah. And I think this movie kind of dealt with that a little bit. And I don't see it. I don't see every movie or TV show out there, but a lot of the, the American media, they don't really deal with this as much.
Well, I have issues with this movie.
I agree with you that it did have good commentary, but I kind of said up top, I feel like this movie couldn't figure out if it was taking a comedic tone or a serious tone. And I think anytime they would venture into comedy, they would like the little voice in their head would say, but we're trying to tell an important story here, so we can't be that funny. And they couldn't. It was just too down the middle, boring, and like the end just ruined the movie. I enjoyed it, and then the end was so fucking stupid. I was mad.
Yeah.
When we get to the end, I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Yes, it was.
I think this movie's biggest problem was that they had a name as the lead of the movie, and so and she wasn't really the main character.
Jenna Dewan.
Yeah, Jenna Dewan. Do you know who that is?
No.
I do.
That's Channing Tatum's ex-wife.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's
and she's famous. She's famous in her own right as an actress and a dancer. But, she's a fairly big name to have in a Lifetime movie. And because of that, they didn't want to make this too sleazy because they didn't want to make it seem like she's doing smut, which is ironic because the movie is commentary on how we shame sexuality.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if it was sleazy.
No,
I don't
it
think
should have been, though.
No.
It should have
should
been
have been. No,
It could have
sleazy.
been.
This is
It could have gone in that
Lifetime.
direction. I know, that's the thing.
It was Lifetime.
Well, that's true. A Lifetime movie shouldn't be social commentary. It should have been just, fun and hijinks and
And stripping and,
I was concerned when I heard it was based on a true story, because anytime Lifetime does these, and I'm actually going to plead now, can we stop watching Lifetime movies based on a true story?
I didn't realize it was ripped from the headlines.
Yeah. Because anytime we do that, they always they kind of dance around it without really digging in, versus a thing that's purely fictional. They're like, oh yeah, it can be crazy. That's fine.
I promise our next
Speaking of-
Lifetime movie will be blood and guts and sleeves.
Speaking of dancing around, have you guys ever performed in a town where they don't allow dancing? It's
No.
Like Footloose?
They're-
Have you?
Well, yeah, there's a place, I forget where it was, but there was some place where there was a street that was not zoned. It was not zoned for dancing, and the reason they do that is because they don't want any strip clubs moving into the area. So it's not zoned for dancing.
So were there signs, or did the
No, I
promoter
don't.
tell you
No,
not to dance?
it would be if somebody wanted to open up a business. They already have that law in place.
That makes sense.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gotta cut loose. Anyway,
Can't dance.
shall we talk about this movie?
We shall. Let's get it over with.
Ugh.
Yeah, let's do it.
So we start off
Stick with us,
a
folks.
pole dancing class, and the pole dancing class is full, and it's all these suburban ladies doing pole dancing. And the teacher's this hot teacher, and she walks by this old lady, and the old lady says that taking this
Nana.
class has helped her sex life.
Yeah, Nana
Getting a lot of
is the
action.
character.
Nana. That's what we used to call my grandmother, Nana.
And the funny thing is, it's because she called her Nana, and I thought that it was her grandmother.
I
thought,
did
"That's my grandmother
too.
who takes class."
Oh, by the way, do you know who else were, besides Jenna Dewan, who were executive producers on this movie? Did you notice?
I did.
Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelas.
Kelly Ripa, I am ashamed of you right now. I expect better from you.
Kelly and Mark's son was in this. He played Petey.
Oh, the nerd?
Yeah, Petey.
He was cute.
He was cute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He was cute.
Well, shout out to Kelly Ripa, who got started on Dancing on Air, which was a local
Oh, yeah.
dance show that played in the Philadelphia area.
I know Dancing on Air. My
Yeah,
friend,
Dancing on Air.
my old boss, Bill O'Brien, used to host Dancing on Air. Or no,
okay.
he may have hosted it when it was Dance Party USA, when it went to
Dance
the
Party
USA
USA,
Network.
yeah.
Because
then it
there is a clip of him that
national.
Madonna wheels out every year or so of her on that show, and Bill's the one introducing Madonna.
Okay. Yep.
I know her from
from the
All
area.
My Children.
And my mom's friend Vicky was her gym teacher.
Who,
Oh,
Kelly Ripa?
Yeah.
we should have had Vicky on today.
Vicky is a character, actually.
Vic, come on the show.
Yeah, let's get her on an episode.
I have to call her and ask her, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
be
they're
funny.
pole dancing. They're just pole dancing and gyrating. And it's all these suburban ladies, and all of a sudden, the cops bust in. It's a bust. And as she's getting arrested, one of the women looks at her and says, "I tried to warn you." And then we go to 5 months earlier. So we see our friend Sadie, the pole dancing teacher, and she moves to town. And the mayor, who's also a realtor, is showing her a building. And you could tell that he's into her. And
Well, she's
hot.
She was
Very hot.
stunning, like super hot.
Yeah, she's hot. And so so she agrees to not only take the building, but she agreed to take the place next door too, right?
It's like a little space in behind the dance studio.
And then she was also looking for a place to live.
Yes.
So she was like, what does she call it? A hat trick?
Yeah.
So then we see the local hairdresser and, you know, the bitch of the town, Carol, is there. And, you know, the bitch is like, who does she think she is? She's sleazy. Just for no reason. She just automatically hated her.
Yeah.
And then we see her. So she's open about it. She's like, I'm starting a pole dancing class.
No, she wasn't at first. She kind of pardon the pun, danced around it at first. Said that she was doing fitness classes and they'd be blah, blah, blah. And then like Carol called it pole dancing. And as soon as she said that, then she's like, yes, there will be some pole work involved. But, you know, because I know people that take those classes for legitimate fitness reasons. And they all try and make it real clear, like, this is about me working in a strip club. This is for fitness.
Pole dancing, you've got to have some amazing abs.
Absolutely.
On the pole.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Jason, did you ever go? So there was this bar in West Hollywood that was called Flaming Saddles. It's no longer around. Mm-hmm. And there was this one woman, they had dancers there. And one of the women could swing on the pole, but like have herself horizontal and swing around the pole.
Yeah. So just for context, Kurt, this bar, it was like a cowboy theme. They have one in New York, but the one in New York's much more intimate. So it's like the bartenders dancing on the bar. But this was like they had a lot of open space. So they had these ropes hanging from the wall and they had these big poles and they had the hottest guy, all straight, all these like straight Russian guys, but all the hottest guys dancing. And the people would go and, you know, they'd tip them and they were like good looking and stuff and they were fine dancers. But when she was on stage, everyone was captivated. She was really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Really?
Yeah, because I don't know if men. I never saw men pole dance. Does that happen?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, it does.
You got to be more careful, though.
Yes, you do.
I guess you did. I guess you would. Just sliding around that thing.
Yep.
I don't think I'm going to do that.
So she's having a hard
Although
time
there's a high
taking
demand.
students. What did you say?
No, I said I don't think I'll pole dance. Although there is a high demand.
Well, you know, you'd have great abs.
Okay.
She has no students. And then
ankles.
Nana shows up. The old lady of the town shows up. Mm-hmm. And Nana is like, you know what you need to do? You need to go to the small business meeting that the town has. So Sadie shows up. And I didn't think that what she was wearing was that slutty.
No.
It really wasn't.
She's a beautiful young woman and was just dressing sort of age appropriately. And because it wasn't like, you know, buttoned all the way to the top, everyone was like, oh no.
And like the men were all like ogling, like their eyes were going like boing, like bouncing out. And so you know, all the women are like, how dare she? But then April, the woman who owns the beauty shop, April took a liking to Sadie, and she defends her. And actually, Sadie is renting an apartment from April, right? She rented it from April, right?
Yeah, April and her husband Marty have a vacancy because Marty's sister Marcia decided to go move out on her own. And Marcia is a character in this movie and comes to play a major role late in the movie.
Yes.
Getting back to her walking in the room, what happens is it pisses people off because when a really beautiful person walks into the room, it kind of uglies everybody down. It kind of like it ruins the curve. Because I've had this experience working on TV shows where all of a sudden it's like this beautiful this beautiful actress walks in and everybody in the room just like drops a couple points. You know?
The curve. And correct me if I'm wrong. But Sadie was like the only woman under 50 in the entire town, other than Marcia.
It did seem weird because there were younger guys around.
Yeah,
one. There was
not
just
just
like there was the
Petey.
same group of people rotating throughout the whole movie.
Oh, I'm sure there were in terms of the background actors, but Petey wasn't the only young guy that we saw in that town. There were people in the background in certain scenes that were like young, good-looking men.
Oh yeah, there were. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Wait, because the one
clients.
montage where she's sleeping with guys, some of those guys were really hot.
Well, when we get to that, I'll talk about it. But I thought that it was so weird that like these guys were all good-looking. Why are they paying for it?
Right. You know, the way that it started out, I could totally see why he paid for it.
Oh yeah.
So, well, and the priest was kind of young. The cute priest was kind of young.
Well, they didn't call him a priest. They called him a minister, but he was wearing a collar.
Yeah.
Do other men of cloth wear the collar if they're not a priest?
I don't know, listeners, if you know, because I noticed that our social media listeners are growing. So if you know, please tell us.
Yes. Our super religious listeners to a Lifetime of Hallmark podcast.
Yeah.
Where we had a whole conversation about shitting in a wig in the last episode.
Yeah. And now this episode we're talking about licking a toilet. We're not the ones doing this. This is what's out in the world.
Yeah.
Right.
We're holding a mirror up to society.
Yeah.
So Sadie was renting in the garage apartment from April and her husband, who was kind of attractive.
Yeah.
And
he looked a little bit like Breckenmeyer.
Yeah. Yeah, he did actually.
Yeah.
And Sadie like got a lot, like they were actually nice. They were nice people. Sadie is like she's getting along with them. Then we see her back at her class, and she still only has one person. But
Nana.
It was Nana, right? That was like, oh no, but then she talked to April, and April's like, I'm going to help you fill this class. And since April was like the town hairdresser, April just started spreading the word to her clients. And so then it shows, and like her client, the classes grow and grow and grow. But then we see her, and another thing that because Sadie had a lot of side hustles. So she had the pole dancing class, but another side hustle is she did massage.
I think the massage wasn't so much an actual side hustle as much as it was a conduit for the real side hustle.
Right. So it was like a smoke screen for the real side hustle, or the side hustle.
Yeah.
So she's giving the mayor a massage.
Yeah, she is.
And then she turns him over. And then she's like, is there anything else that you want? But she asked very innocently, is there anything else I could do?
She offers to take him to heaven. Now, I'd be afraid that someone was going to shoot me. Someone says that they're going to take me to heaven,
But, and the thing that she could do is she offered favors. Oh, she took him to heaven, all right.
Yeah. She had a whole suite of services.
So then
we skipped one detail that's pretty important here too. So Carol, who was the woman that was kind of upset about this sexy woman coming to town, she's dropped her son at school, and her son is kind of calling her out for being like upset for no reason over this woman she doesn't even know. And then mom is flirting with Gerald Quinn, who's a teacher at the school. We find out Carol, she owns the local newspaper, but is also a reporter at that paper.
The Gazette.
Yeah.
Also, Carol will not take the pole dancing class because she does not sweat in public.
No. And it seems like nobody liked Carol.
No. Her son would call her out at every chance he got.
Yeah. Mr. Quinn kind of liked her.
Yeah.
Yes. And so then we go to the local restaurant. Sadie does. And Sadie and April. Because they become besties like almost immediately. Mm-hmm. And so we see this nerdy guy, but it was like one of these nerdy guys that if you took his glasses off, he'd look like amazing.
I beg to differ.
Oh, really?
Because they showed him with the glasses off at the end, and I didn't recognize him at first. It's like, oh, he's cute, but he was cuter in the glasses.
Okay. So it was like the local restaurant, but his mom was on a vacation, so he was running things, and he had baked these muffins. And he gave samples to Sadie and April, and Sadie's like, you should like turn this into a business because these muffins are actually really good.
Honest question here, and no shade to Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelas and their son, but was his character necessary at all in this movie?
No, not at all.
Right. Because there was a weird justification as to why he's even there when there's no other people that are sort of his contemporaries.
Well, it's weird, yeah.
And his character doesn't drive the story. The muffin thing goes nowhere. There's a thing that he gets upset about later in the movie that's a funny comedic beat, but serves no purpose to the story.
He's also oddly hanging out with adults. Like,
yeah. Well, he's not like a 5-year-old. He's an adult age.
And also, so I'm thinking maybe that original character was supposed to be the owner who probably took the pole dancing class, but then they're like, we need to give our son a role.
Yeah, probably.
So we'll write him in.
All right, well, I got it.
So, that's another thing. Yeah, Carol's son told her she only had one friend.
Yeah, he wasn't wrong.
He was not wrong. So she gives the mayor a full release. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, this is where I kind of had the issue on her end because this was a small, like she moved from Vegas and this was a small town in New Hampshire. All right. Now, common sense would have told you that in a small town in New Hampshire, the word's going to eventually get out, not to the men, because she wants the word to get out to the men, but some big-mouthed man is going to tell someone or talk about it in front of his secretary, and the women are going to find out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know how she didn't think that she was going to get caught from the jump.
Especially when she's got a website where she's doing cam shows and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
that's true.
And one thing that I really wish they would have paid off is they've mentioned a couple times that she's there for a fresh start. We never find out why.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. How's she going to get away with this stuff in a small town?
And I see nothing wrong with sex work. There's nothing wrong with being a sex worker, but
I did it today.
Well, there you go.
Excellent.
But it's like, at the same time, you got to kind of be smart. And if you're not, if you're in a small town, you got to just expect that the word's going to get out. Period. And so that's what the mayor did. He told his friends. So she started getting other clients. And then so she teaches dance. But she's also she's a pole dancer with a heart of gold because,
Well, they all are.
Because they're talking about charities and she volunteers for the charities and she's very involved in the town.
Yeah.
And other than Carol, everybody likes her. She's nice. She's genuinely a nice person.
She's a smart entrepreneur. They're all blown away by her business acumen.
Right. So she was getting stuff for this one charity, and she goes to the church, and the minister is like, oh, no, she goes to, and she tells the minister, oh, I'll bring the stuff over to the church. And the minister's like, no, I'll come over. So even the minister got wind of what was going on.
Yeah.
And
I wrote in my notes, I think the minister wants some.
Yes.
So then, and I've got to switch rooms because my loud husband is home. So then, she is. I'm walking, and
this is when Carol's son,
finds her on the internet. He finds her webcam.
Carol's kid.
Yeah, and he's about to spank it.
Well, yeah.
So he's like,
Everybody's horny in this movie.
yeah.
But they're
He was- he
not.
was-
Like, they're horny on paper, but
Yeah.
do we really see it? No.
No, we don't. Well, we
They're
kind
horny
of
on paper.
do.
We saw,
kind-
like, a glimpse of, like, the top of someone's shoulder. Like, of Lifetime movie, we have seen way more skin in just your generic run-of-the-mill Lifetime movie than we saw in this one.
Well, I think part of it, too, weren't they supposed to be repressed in the town?
Yeah, but then they're like awakened.
Yeah.
They kept saying in the movie that she was sort of like a Mary Poppins, like comes to town. I was thinking more like the Music Man. She comes in and everyone's like all mesmerized by this big city prostitute.
What's the musical where the whole city comes to life?
That's the Music Man.
Brigadoon? Isn't there another one where that happens? Brigadoon or something
maybe.
like that?
I've never seen Brigadoon. I don't know.
Maybe I'm not familiar with Brigadoon.
But
I
Music
know
Man is where Harold Hill comes to town and convinces them that they need a marching band. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the Music Man.
Yeah. Okay, I guess that's the one.
All of the women, like, these classes are starting to sex them up.
Well, you know who is a new client of Sadie's is Gerald Quinn.
Right.
The teacher of George, is that the kid's name? His teacher that's been flirting with Carol. He hasn't been with a woman since his wife died 8 years ago.
I see dead people.
And he and Sadie, she asked him if he wants to slow dance. And they're like slow dancing while he's like talking about his dead wife.
And then he went to town. And so that was the thing. She would sleep with the men, but give them, like, sex advice to then go home and then, like, sleep with their wives. So she was kind of doing a service.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
And that is the thing that you hear a lot about people that work for, like, phone sex lines, and you hear it from sex workers, that sometimes it's not about the physical act. It's not about getting off. It's like people are just lonely.
Yeah. And so, like, she was kind of like a Mary Poppins, though, because all of a sudden, all of the people started getting all sexy.
Well, that's not an umbrella.
So then we see Carol, and she's getting her hair done, and Carol, so Gerald asks Carol out. Carol says yes, and then Carol, like, all of a sudden gets the stick out of her butt, and she actually becomes nice for a hot minute, too. And she starts saying, you know what, maybe I misjudged Sadie. Maybe she's not so bad after all. And
Gerald's Stella getting his groove back.
Right. So then they're still planning for the charity, and Sadie is still involved. And then Sadie is having wine with April, the hairdresser, and Sadie's telling her about the sexual revolution.
I'm laughing at, like, they keep having all these meetings of the business owners, and they're planning some sort of charity gala for some charity, and Sadie makes this big pronouncement like, "Hey guys, we should raise more money for more charities." And they're all like, I don't know, that sounds like a lot of work. She's like, no, we could raise twice. But like, it doesn't make any sense why she would propose it, A, and B, why they would poo-poo it. It was a very banal act of if you raise more money, you can give more money to charity. That's just math.
Right.
And they were against that.
Yeah.
So then this next part really pissed me off, too, because if you're going to be a sex worker, which I have no problem with, if you're going to be a sex worker in a small town out of your place of business, make your clients go through the back door.
There's some career advice? Well, business advice, small business advice.
Okay, let's, considering the subject matter, be more specific.
Because... So first of all,
I don't think you understood where I was going with that, Les. I think
business owners get a lot of advice from the show.
So first of all,
Les is saying backdoor only for this sex worker. Backdoor only.
Damn.
Well, that's for other reason. But so she was having, Sadie's sex business is taken off. Like she's getting clients, but it's so April's beauty shop was right next door to Sadie's studio, and so April started coming in early and started hearing people having sex when she walked into work. So the first time, April was kind of like, oh, she thought, maybe she hooked up or something. But then April sees Jim, who is the husband of her friend, walk out of the studio after hearing sex noises.
And what's silly is they were going in and out of the back door, but they would all pass by April's giant picture window, looking out onto the street. They'd all walk by there as if April wasn't going to see them walk by.
Right, like in the morning. Because the one time was in the morning, like before work, I guess. So April confronts Sadie. But then Sadie's like, well, yeah, I am a sex worker and I am, I believe I'm sexually free. And she tells April, and then I thought April was a little progressive because April was like, well, what about your life? Do you have boyfriends? Do you have girlfriends? Why? And then Sadie says, well, I think relationships are over.
What that noise was.
Relationships are what?
Overrated.
Oh, overrated.
So she was supposed to be like this sexual, like this sexual sort of like a guru. I know she hated the name, but yeah, a sexual Mary Poppins.
I like the spreadsheet. Remember they were showing shots of the spreadsheet, and one person was just BJ. What was it? BJ and full. Wrote it down somewhere. One of them was flowers. I don't know what that was.
Flowers. So then April's like, okay, so listen, I know that you're gonna do your sex work, but just no, and I'm fine with it, but no, be smart, basically. Be smart and don't be secretive about it to me. So
tell me all the details.
So then we see Carol's kid in his bedroom, and he's got Sadie's webcam going, and he's getting ready to get to work, if you know what I mean. And then Carol...
What do you mean?
You know what I mean. Then Carol, goes knocking on his door like nosy mothers do. And she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, nothing. And so he's like covering his junk. He's like, I need to go take a shower.
Yeah.
Now, this kid, so hold on a second.
That used to happen in school. You'd be having some kind of something would be happening.
Wait, kids do that in your school?
No, you'd be, just sitting there in class minding your business, and things would be happening in your nether regions, and then the bell would ring.
Oh yeah.
And you have to get up in the class. So you have to
hold the books down there.
Walk with your U.S. history book.
Yeah, you do the thing
you're holding all the
if
lies.
you're sitting in the desk and the desk is connected on the one side, so you got to have the book on top of the desk, and as you slide out, you got to be moving the book at the same time, so it's right in covering that line of sight.
So young
presumably,
men, old men, if you have a nosy wife or mom, you should always clear your history before you leave the room.
Clear your history anyway. You never know when a police raid is going to happen.
True.
Mm-hmm.
True. Always be ready.
Just open in a private browser.
Right. Because Carol went in, and Carol did some snooping, and Carol found Sadie's webcam stuff.
What I don't understand is that she was trying to be sneaky about it, but then she like takes his computer and brings it to the salon and shows it to the other ladies. Now he's got to know at this point it's missing.
Yeah, She doesn't take photos or whatever. Like, you know, I'm imagining later she gets home and she's like, "Did you do your homework?" He's like, "No, I can't find my computer anywhere."
Right. So then they go on a picnic.
Wait. When Carol discovers that Sadie's on videos and she is telling April about it, she says her son saw Sadie's cookie.
Right.
Yeah, she's.
And that's why you should clean your cookies.
You know how I feel about cookies.
Yeah.
So then we find out that one of their friends is actually a cop. So they're having lunch.
Yeah, she pops out of nowhere.
Daphne.
Well, we
not
did
much of an
see
introduction.
We saw her in the opening scene.
Oh, we did? Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would say,
in a flashback.
And I would say that Daphne was closer to Sadie's age. Like, Daphne's a little younger than them.
Like, because April, I'm guessing, is like 40 something.
Mm-hmm. And like Carol is in her mid 50s, and I would say like Daphne was in her 30s.
Yeah.
And so Daphne's a cop, and Carol is telling Daphne about this, and Daphne's like, well, you know, actually she's not doing anything illegal. But
she did also mention that she looked into Sadie's background and she was never arrested. I was like, why were you looking into her background?
Yeah, that was weird. It's like,
well, you know.
Missing.
But then, you know, if I had access to records, I'd look. If I met someone new, I'd snoop.
Yeah, it's super illegal to do that, turns out.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. Remember when the Kobe Bryant crash happened and those LAPD officers got reprimanded because they released maybe it was either LAPD or it was a hospital, released photos, and it was a huge scandal when it happened.
I think it was a hospital. So then Carol is like, well, I didn't know why you're being so blasé, April. She's living in your house, and what about Marty? And then Carol is like, and by the way, I know that she's a former stripper because I snooped too. So, what was I going to say? Oh, so then, but April actually at this point is still defending Sadie, and even Daphne's kind of defending her, or Daphne's kind of like, well, she's not doing anything wrong, so leave her alone. Yeah, basically. But then April comes to work again, and Daphne and Sadie's even louder. Like, her clients are getting really loud. Like, she is going to town. Oh, and then this is where she had a client, right?
Yeah, well, so she had it was another early morning. April's at the salon, and we see that guy Jim walk by. Jim, by the way, he owns the car dealership in town. And then out of the blue, Lynn, who happens to be Jim's wife, she just wants to come in and have her hair done right that minute. And April's trying to, like, shoo her along, like, oh, no, now's not a good time. And Lynn's, like, begging her to do it, so she's doing it while they're in there. And what is probably the quickest client Sadie has ever had. Jim's back there. April teases Lynn's hair a little bit, and it looks ridiculous. And she's like sending her on her way as Jim is walking by again.
Yeah.
But Lynn says that she and Jim are now at it 4 to 5 times a week.
Yeah.
So Sadie's doing she's doing a service. She's saving marriages, actually. Because, because I wrote here, April made the woman's hair look like shit.
Yeah.
She's like Michael Landon in Highway. This could be a Highway to Heaven episode.
Who? Sadie's like an angel? like a sex angel
who's just helping everyone.
Maybe this is an episode of Quantum Leap. Has Sam Beckett leaped into Sadie's dancing body?
Yeah.
Well, what's the favor that he needs to do to go on to the next time zone or whatever?
He's got to sleep with Petey, and it never happens.
Yeah, it never does. Yeah, there's a new version of Quantum Leap.
There is.
Yes. Okay, so then April comes home and Sadie and Marty are having dinner, and April's like, "Uh-oh," and we find out that Sadie cooked, and April is like, "Okay, now shit's getting real. She's with my husband by herself." And then, so then they're talking to Daphne again. And April's telling Daphne, and Daphne's like, well, cheating on your spouse isn't illegal. That's not a crime. So then Daphne says, what you need to do is you need to come up with a paper trail.
I love this scene, by the way, took place there in the park. And they've got they're all pouring wine into a little cup. And Daphne points out, hey, really, we're doing wine here in the park? Like Daphne kept pointing out the hypocrisy and how we'll sort of turn the other way when it comes to some laws that we find convenient to turn the other cheek to, but not turn the other cheek to other things.
So then we...
Daphne's our conscience.
Right. I love it. I love Daphne, but she's like, is that wine? So then we have a little mini montage, and Sadie's giving a class and life advice at the same time, and talking about a head whip.
What?
A head whip.
A head whip. Oh.
Yeah. Whip your head, whip your hair.
Yeah.
So then... with April talking to Marty, we find out that Marty knows about Sadie.
Well, we know that he knows about the videos. We don't know at this point that he knows about the prostitution.
Right. So the guys in this town have been talking. It was basically no secret at this point. But so then April starts getting jealous. And April decides that she's going to fuck Sadie over. So April tells Daphne, the cop, that Sadie's actually taking money for sex, because Daphne was like, if we find out she's taking money, then that part's illegal. So, but then they show a montage of the people in the town, and everybody is having more sex, and everybody is sexed up except for April.
Well, she's got Sadie's got 95 clients. Every guy is headed over there.
But I love the fact, though, that the guys would go and have sex with Sadie, but then they would go and have sex with their wives, and then they showed people looking like they were in love, and they were
yeah. It was it was like the after in any of those medical commercials where for the any kind of medication, where they all look like they're frolicking and living their best lives as they're reading all the disclaimers about the medication.
Right. May cause sweaty hands, death, heart attacks.
But man, you'll be in love with your wife.
Right.
Ugh. If you have an erection for more than 8 hours, please call a physician. Jesus Christ.
A hot physician, you know what I'm saying?
All right. So then April... So April is all caught up in getting revenge on Sadie, but she's losing out while all her other friends are getting it in. And Carol is also losing out because she keeps on postponing her date with Jim.
Yeah. Gerald.
With Joe.
Gerald.
So Gerald. Oh, that's right. Gerald.
Joe. No, Janet. Jessica.
Gerald.
Jeremy.
So April feels bad about turning Sadie in. So April's like, listen, Sadie, you need to get out of town. Too many people know about this. And Sadie's like, oh, it'll be fine. And it's like, no, Sadie, when people tell you to get out of town, that town gossip tells you to get out of town, get out of town. So then we go back to our opening. So basically, the opening of the show, of the movie, was our cold open. But it didn't feel like a cold open.
Well, because now it's intercut with scenes of Carol out on like the patio Petey's Cafe there, eating Petey's muffins, not a euphemism, just watching this all unfold.
So then Sadie gets arrested. They raid her apartment. She has over 95 clients. But then it comes out that, okay, if she goes to trial, we need to uncover who the Johns are as well, who her clients are.
Yeah, they say at one point that they would just get a $200 fine, and later on they say it's a $100 fine.
But even Daphne's like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, Daphne's like, I don't think this is a good idea because it's going to ruin a lot of lives. And Carol just does not care. She does not give a shit. So
I want to know why Carol got to make that call. Like, shouldn't the cop be able to make that call before Carol makes that call?
Right. So then we see Sadie coming out of jail, and Nana bailed her out. And since Sadie lost her place to live, Nana's like, oh, fuck these bitches. Come and live with me. Like,
Nana's
Nana was a
progressive.
cool old lady.
Yeah.
She's like that woman who you know, who we know, that ha-cha-cha lady.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I like her.
Yeah.
This lady, Jason, it's this lady who we know, and she's probably, like 85, 86. And she's
she's 86,
and she tours at the same places that we go. And she comes out and she, like, hangs out with us and everything. And she's, like, 85. And
I
she's
love
like
that. I love people like that.
And she wears, like, leather pants. She's really cool, actually.
Yeah.
So then we see April, and she's out to dinner with... Oh, I forgot. Was this when April thought that her husband was involved?
Well, they're about to drop the second batch of names. Why they were doing it why they were parsing it out rather than it all just coming out at once, I don't know. But there was an M, whatever their last name was. I forget their last name, but it was M something. Was going to come out. So Sadie's like, oh my God, this is my husband. He's been sleeping with Sadie, like, in my own home.
Right. And Carol, she went to the bathroom and overheard women talking about it in the bathroom.
Yeah.
So then we find out that Sadie made over $100,000. And she was only there for 5 months. She made $100,000 in 5 months.
That's not what she was claiming on her income taxes, though. She was saying she made like $18,000. So this was a problem.
But she was raking it in. She was very busy in this town. And so the minister was one of the people on the list that got caught. So the minister
is
feeling guilty.
He was not. He thought he was.
She didn't have him on the registry.
Yeah.
The minister was very attractive, though.
He was cute.
So then April...
This is the scene that I thought was so stupid. Why? They're having like they're getting ready for the gala, and it's like all the men are there, and April comes in and she's kind of chewing them out for how basically, like, they're part of this problem too. And, like, Sadie's not the only one guilty here. These guys all cheated on their wives and, like, ruined their families. And Petey's all upset because he's like, nobody told me about her. I would have had sex with her too.
Yeah.
Right. And he totally yells at her. It's
but it was really played for laughs. It wasn't really played for laughs. So it was very earnest.
He's all, thanks a lot.
I think it was played for laughs. I just think it wasn't that funny.
Okay. The way I heard it was, I took it very seriously.
Well, yeah, because the rest of the scene, like, it kind of undercuts April's message, which is, hey, we're shaming this woman that you guys all paid to sleep with.
Right.
She's not the only one that should be in trouble here.
Like, the whole town was basically...
Obviously, there was a need in this town, for crying out loud.
So
I don't think there was one man who didn't get up in there.
Petey.
Yeah, Petey.
Poor Petey's the only one who
Poor
didn't.
Petey.
He left out.
But I love it. She's like, "What? Were you gonna have sex with her too?" And he's like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
No muffins for you.
No.
So, and then did you notice the coffee house or the restaurant? It was empty as well. Like they had no customers. So then we see April at home, and then the news is knocking at her door because they made this look like it made like national news or something. And so then April, being a vindictive bitch, goes on the news and just totally reams Sadie out on the news. And then we find out that they're going to get Sadie for tax evasion. And so...
Just like Al Capone.
Yeah, so she makes a deal. Then Sadie yells at... Sadie and April have a fight. And this is the part I was like, I wrote, Sadie should have punched April in the face.
Yeah.
Several
Yeah, but she was in enough trouble. I can see why she didn't.
Several times. She should have punched her in the face and grabbed her hair and like knocked her to the ground because April was really shit talking. And
No, it's not Dynasty.
And telling Sadie that she was fake and telling Sadie that she was happy she turned her in.
April called her a whore.
Yeah, that's what I thought she should have backhanded her. And this isn't the Lifetime I'm used to. I'm used to people backhanding and punching people in Lifetime movies.
Again, like not only was there no murder, very little sex in this movie that was about sex, but we didn't have one cat fight.
Right, because it's like you know, she would have at least like mushed her in the face or something.
We were catfished, really.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we're watching this movie about some hooker called Let's Get Physical. And we're just watching some social commentary sort of thing.
It was a little bit After School Specially.
Right, because then the mayor comes to Sadie, and the mayor like feels bad about it, and then she's like, "Well, you told all your friends," but it's like, Sadie, what do you expect? Of course he's gonna tell his friends. You're in a small town.
And didn't you want him to tell his friends?
Right, you made $100,000 in 5 months. So,
in terms of like plot minutia that really didn't make sense, the fact that Sadie was keeping records of all these guys as protection should she need it down the line, and she had all these videos of people like at the back door. Why would she at the same time be evading taxes? Like, wouldn't you still pay taxes on that money and just say it was for massages and things?
Right, because she did have legitimate businesses.
Yeah.
Well, I learned because I took I took an income tax course some years ago, and I've also worked as a volunteer income tax preparer. But one of the things we learned was that you do have to claim money you make. If you make money illegally, you still have to claim it. So if you're a hooker or whatever you're doing,
what do you put?
If you're a prostitute and you make money, you do have to claim that money.
Crime, $18,000.
I don't know. Yeah, escort. You could say an escort. That's not necessarily. We know what it means, but personal escort or
personal services.
You got to come up with something. They say, despite that it's illegal, you've got to. It's weird because you got to like go over something.
Well, because
go through the fact that it's illegal,
because you figure the
legal,
IRS is not an arm of law enforcement. The IRS is merely wants to get your tax money. So they just want to make sure that they're getting the amount they should get. What you're doing to get it, that's not their problem to figure out and solve those crimes.
Right.
So then after Sadie yells at the mayor, and then Sadie's like, "I'm probably going to jail. Fuck you." Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And then we cut to April talking to her sister-in-law. And this is where her sister-in-law is like, "Okay, April, you idiot. It wasn't your husband, Marty, who slept with her. It was me." And Sadie's like, and April's like, "Wait, what? You're a lesbian?" And she's like, "Yes. And I found out by sleeping with Sadie that I'm a lesbian."
No, I like that.
And I told my brother not to say anything because I wanted to come out to you myself. And that's why he didn't say anything. And then April really felt like shit, like she should have.
Should have, yeah.
And I think if I was April's husband and she came home like she does in this movie and also apologetic, I'd say, why don't you go fuck yourself?
Right.
You didn't trust me. I tried to explain myself. You didn't listen. There's the door. I did hear you say earlier that you would leave. I'll take you up on that offer.
I would say go fuck yourself because you can't fuck Sadie because she's in jail and it's your fault, asshole.
Right. Because I forgot to mention when April and Sadie were having it out, and April's like, you slept with my husband, and Sadie's like, I would never do that. You're my friend. I would never sleep with your husband. Like, no, we're girls. That's our girl code. I would never do that. And Sadie didn't believe her. Now Sadie felt like the shithead she was. Not Sadie. April felt like the shithead she was.
Didn't Marcia even tell April that Sadie almost didn't even take Marcia on as a client because she didn't want to make it weird?
Right. And look, Sadie's changed Marcia's life because now Marcia is out and proud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe I would hold on to her anyway because the divorces are a pain in the ass. But you got to work it out somehow.
So now,
but no, I'm all for this Marcia thing. That's progressive.
Right.
So, well, I went in there and went to town.
Apparently, she did.
There's places. Do you ever see those places where they actually do happy ending massages? They look so disgusting from the outside. It's like I wouldn't go in just based on that. Or they're really mysterious. There's one place that I'm aware of. I have not been inside, but they have it looking like it's like a real estate agency, but there's pictures of Asian women in the windows, open 24 hours. It's a real estate agency that you might want to go in at 3 a.m. and interested in buying a duplex, So
after the bars close, I want to go into escrow.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm here to pay my mortgage. What kind of mortgage? No.
What's it?
My lady mortgage.
Let's discuss a reverse loan and reverse cowgirl.
Right. And then the door, then the drawer, the file cabinet opens up into a massage parlor.
Oh boy.
So April just feels like the biggest asshole on the planet, as well she should. So then she goes into the committee after the entire committee's lives are devastated. And April says, let's have the gala anyway. So then we cut to 1 year later.
Well, wait, first she goes to jail.
She goes to jail.
Yeah, Sadie's in jail.
Yeah.
Sadie goes to jail. 1 year later, Sadie's getting out of jail, and April is picking her up. And that's when I would have been like, you bitch.
Yeah.
You bitch. Yeah. You ruined my life, you dumb bitch.
Well, she came to pick her up and apologize. Hey, April, you could have come to visit me and apologize, asshole.
Right. Put some money on my commissary tab, or what do they call it?
Yes, you can buy toothpaste and stuff like that.
Yeah. And then Sadie's happy to see her. And then April's like, oh, you look great. And Sadie's like, well, yeah.
She did look great. She got out of prison and was fully made up and looked stunning. And I guarantee you she did not have that stuff with her in prison.
No.
Looks like she got released after 5 minutes. Just walked in, walked out.
And she was telling the guards, don't forget your dance moves I taught you. So obviously she had a great time.
It's fun.
She had a dance party in prison. And so then April is like, hey, I want to give you a ride. Oh, because then she's like, Sadie, you're going to stay in town. And I'd be like, you have some fucking nerve asking me if I'm going to stay in town. What do you think? But Sadie says, no, it's time for me to move on. And so this part made me so angry. I was like, fuck this movie.
Same. I fucking hated this ending.
I was so pissed. I literally yelled, "Fuck this movie," because April's like, I can give you a ride, but we've got to stop somewhere first, and they stop off at April's hairdressing salon, and the entire town is there throwing Sadie a surprise party.
Not just throwing her a surprise party, but throwing a surprise party where they're telling her that they want her to give one last lesson before they basically are like, "We love you, but get the fuck out of town."
Right.
They're making her work.
We love you. We're the reason why you went to prison for an entire year, but we love you.
But wait, who was there though? Did you recognize people there? Like, was Carol there and Lynn there? Were they there?
The town.
Yeah, the whole town
too busy
was
yelling
there.
at the screen.
Yeah.
I was too busy yelling at the screen.
Me too.
Because I could not believe this. I was like, I think even Hallmark wouldn't pull this shit in a movie.
So her studio remained open for the year that she was in.
Well, that's what I wonder is like, so the mayor couldn't rent it out to somebody else? What a shitty real estate agent.
And then she gets out and there's a Jeep. There's a Jeep outside.
It's
for
her
her.
Jeep from the beginning of the movie. It's her Jeep.
Yeah.
Like her Jeep is still there. Like that didn't get repossessed, really. And she comes out wearing her like stunning outfit that she had at the beginning of the movie. Like she's got like Louboutins on.
Yeah.
Like so she gets to keep the 100,000.
I guess. I don't know.
Probably. Knowing this movie, probably.
Like, she was committing tax fraud. Didn't they, like, seize some of her assets?
I guess not.
Not that Jeep. And she could keep renting the place, and I guess it was empty. Maybe she rented that to, like, fringe festivals and stuff like that.
She sublet it.
You know what?
Yeah.
You know what?
Subletted.
I want to do a do-over. I want to pick a bloody, scary, gross, wrong, psycho, killer movie for next week.
Go ahead, but it needs to have one of those words in the title. It needs to either be from the psycho movies, the killer, or wrong.
I'll even vet it first and watch like a chunk of it.
Yeah, just make sure it's not based on a true story. No. I just want wild and over the top.
Because I feel like I gypped myself.
Well,
I'm mad, and I'm like, the only person who I could be mad at is me because I did this.
Do you guys think they would ever legalize prostitution in this country?
I wouldn't be surprised if California did it someday.
Yeah,
I could see it becoming legal because there has been a bit of a growing trend in recent years to not demonize sex work.
Right.
Mm.
And it's even called it's called sex work now. It's not often referred to as prostitution.
Okay. Right.
Well, you never know.
I could see that. I say it's a ways off, but I could see it happening.
I could see it happening eventually.
Anyway, like a ways off.
Anyway, I'm so mad. I need to go eat. Talking about the ending of this movie riled me up. So if you want to get a hold of me, you can find me on my website. See, God, even my voice, I have an attitude now. If you want to find me, you can find me on my website, leskirkendallbarrett.com, or you can find me on Instagram at Kirkendall. Jason.
You can find all of us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Lifetime of Hallmark Podcast. Please rate and review us on whatever podcasting platform you listen to us on. Give us 5 stars. It helps more people like the listeners of Pod Meets World find our show and know what it's all about. And go and listen to me. I am on an episode of Pod Meets World that came out last Wednesday. It is, once again, I forget what the episode's called, but it has DNA in the title. And you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Big Shot Jason. Kurt.
Oh, I'm a working actor now. I'm doing these murder mystery dinner theaters in the New Jersey, Pennsylvania area. But I'll have more information about that later. I just started doing that. That's what I'm up to. But you can check out KurtFitzpatrick.com. I think I'm going to do a couple movie podcasts. I have those in my future as soon as I watch the movies. That's it.
Booked and busy.
Yeah, it's getting better.
And I am noticing that our social media is growing.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah?
Because I've been getting alerts. Like when people join the page, I get alerts.
Maybe that's
and so
from the podcast.
yeah. So, and so thank you for supporting us, and thank you for listening. And this rant made me mad, so I'm gonna go eat. So until next time, bye.
Bye.
Bye.